immediately, try to get access to Google Analytics and get the deal underway as quickly as possible. Otherwise, you're just going to lose it. And after, I think I went through a period of about a month and a half and hadn't bought a site. And it was like, I'm still working on the sites that I've got at the time. But you want to buy new sites because you eventually want to get to the stage where you're buying and selling sites at roughly the same time. And if you're not buying any new sites, you're not going to get to that stage. But at the same time, you've got to have patience when there isn't something out there. Like, don't change your criteria just because you can't find a good deal doesn't mean you should accept a worse deal because, you're just going to do poorly out of it.
I'm so glad that you said that, because we have a lot of people in our community are learning how to do due diligence and find a site. And in that process, they might see a case study of somebody that's bought a site within 3 months and achieved X amount of result. They go, cool, I'm going to set my expectation that I'm going to buy a site at this size, make this much money, I'll be making this much money within 3 months. And that expectation is an absolute killer, because if they don't meet that expectation, they might go away and go, all right, I'm going to buy something just a bit outside of my criteria and rush into something. Or they do the opposite thing and they just go shiny object syndrome, go find that thing that's super shiny, chase it, which is buy a starter site that 90% of them don't work out. They get burnt. And it's because they don't realize that the person that got a site within the 3 month period might not have a job and they have a lot of time. Whereas the person that puts the expectation at 3 months, they've got a family, they've got a job, and they've got to do this thing on the side. And they get to the 3 month period, they're stressed out and they're like, how have I not done this? I'm a failure. They try and make it work. That person that bought one within the 3 month period has probably done 6 to 12 months of work in a 3 month period because they don't have a job, and they've gotten so much better at due diligence, and they've done due diligence on, say, 50 sites or whatever, and they're skilled and trained up to take action. Whereas the person with a family and has a job, they're not, they don't have the ability to do that. So I'm so glad you mentioned that, because this is one of the biggest chinks in the armor that people have and failures that people make when they're trying to buy sites and try to get into this is like time. Yeah, time is of the essence, of course, right? That's why we have a turnaround time of 24 to 48 hours of reviewing businesses for our clients, so they can get information, get better questions, and buy one as soon as they're ready. And why we also train them up so they don't actually have to rely on us to review them, so they can do it themselves and execute straight away. So time is of the essence, but also don't rush too fast, because sometimes we do need to slow down and speed up, right? I'm so glad that you mentioned that.
It's very hard to be patient if if you've got these goals and nothing's happening.
Yes.
And also, if you don't purchase anything for 1.5 months, it really feels like, that's been a bit of a waste. But, the even worse thing is if you buy 2 dud sites that get hit by Google penalties that, could have been avoided because they were using risky link building, all that sort of stuff. So, anyway, that's 2 things.
I'm so glad you mentioned that. Did you buy these sites with the intention of taking the skills that you had learned from your previous content sites to input into these to scale them? Like, use your leverage?
Well, that was the initial goal. The more that I did it, the more, like, some of the things that I was doing with I Know the Pilot and I Want That Flight were applicable. Definitely basic SEO of getting the titles right, getting internal links right, page navigation, all that sort of stuff was right.